Commander Zethkar had seen countless battles across the Andromeda sector, his chitinous exoskeleton bearing the scars of plasma burns and kinetic strikes that would have killed lesser beings. The towering Krillian warrior stood 8 feet tall, his 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws that could slice through reinforced battle armor like paper. Among his fellow soldiers, he was known as the Void Reaper, a legend whispered in the barracks of every military installation from the core worlds to the Outer Rim. But today, as he stood before the assembled troops of the 47th Galactic Defense Battalion, Zethkar felt something he hadn't experienced in decades of warfare, genuine unease. "Soldiers," his voice rumbled through the universal translator, causing the assembled aliens to snap to attention. The battalion was a diverse mix of species. Crystal-skinned Vorthak, gaseous nebulans contained in their environmental suits, and sleek Aquarian warriors whose scaled skin shimmered under the harsh fluorescent lights. "Today, I present to you our newest addition to the unit." A murmur rippled through the ranks. New recruits were always a source of curiosity, but the way their legendary commander's mandibles clicked nervously suggested this was no ordinary soldier. "This being comes from a recently discovered world on the galactic fringe," Zethkar continued, his compound eyes scanning the crowd. "A planet called Earth. The species designation is human." The name meant nothing to most of the soldiers, but several of the more experienced veterans shifted uncomfortably. Whispers of the human homeworld had begun circulating through military channels. Stories so bizarre that most dismissed them as propaganda or myth. "Before we begin integration protocols," Zethkar raised one of his primary arms, "I must warn you about certain characteristics of the species that may seem disturbing." The hangar bay doors hissed open and a figure emerged that caused several soldiers to recoil in horror. The human appeared impossibly fragile, no natural armor, no claws, no visible weapons. Its skin was a pale pink, vulnerable and soft-looking. It stood barely 6 feet tall, possessing only 2 arms and 2 legs, with a ridiculous patch of brown fur growing only from the top of its head. "This is Sergeant Marcus Chin," Zethkar announced, his voice carrying across the silent hangar. "He is what humans call a medic." Private Yexthal, a young Vorthak whose crystalline structure resonated with nervous energy, whispered to his companion, "It looks so breakable." But Zethkar's next words sent a chill through the assembly. "Sergeant Chin, please demonstrate your species' most terrifying ability." The human stepped forward, and when it opened its mouth, the sound that emerged caused several soldiers to stumble backward in shock. The human was baring its teeth, dozens of small, sharp, bone-white daggers arranged in perfect rows. But worse than the predatory display was the sound accompanying it. Laughter. The human was laughing, a sound that seemed to come from deep within its chest, rhythmic and somehow both joyful and menacing. Its eyes, those strange, forward-facing orbs, crinkled at the corners as the terrifying sound continued. "By the void," someone whispered, "it's showing us its feeding apparatus." "Sergeant Chin," Zethkar called out, his own voice betraying his discomfort, "perhaps you could explain to the battalion why humans do that." The human's laughter subsided, but those terrible teeth remained visible as it spoke. "Sorry, Commander. I was just thinking about something funny my daughter said before I shipped out. She's only 5, but she told me that aliens would probably think we're scary because we show our teeth when we're happy." The human's expression softened. "I guess she was right." The silence that followed was deafening. Several soldiers exchanged glances, processing the horrifying implications. This creature, this soft, vulnerable-looking being, displayed its weapons when experiencing positive emotions. What did it do when it was angry? Lieutenant Korth, a veteran Nebula whose gaseous form had darkened with concern, finally spoke. "Commander, if this is how they express happiness, what do they do in combat?" Zethkar's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among his kind. "That, Lieutenant, is precisely why humans are now classified as a Class X restricted species for first contact protocols. And why Sergeant Chin here single-handedly held off a Dominion assault battalion for 6 hours while evacuating a civilian colony." The human named Marcus Chan smiled wider, apparently oblivious to the terror he was inspiring. "Looking forward to working with you all," he said cheerfully, those predators' teeth gleaming under the lights. As the assembly dispersed, the veteran soldiers began sharing their own whispered theories about the human homeworld. A place so hostile that its inhabitants had evolved to weaponize even their expressions of joy. The newcomers watched Chun with a mixture of fascination and horror. wondering what other terrifying secrets this impossibly fragile-looking creature might possess. In the depths of space, humanity's reputation was just beginning to spread.